Hello, all. We are back. The second part of For the Queen. Jen got a fantastic question and now has had plenty of time, I'm sure, to think
It
of.
was so good we had to take a break.
It
Yep.
was. It was.
I was thinking about this as I was making tea, and I'm very excited about my answer. I'm going to read this question again because it's so good.
Yeah, please do.
You saw the queen do something terrible to keep the retinue safe. What was it? And did you come to respect her more or less afterwards? She sent 3 identical retinues in each other cardinal direction. So she sent 15 other people potentially to their death, likely to their death, to shake off people off our trail.
Whoa.
Okay, but real important question. I know there's another part here, which is about respect, but real important question. Did they carry similar jewelry?
They did. They did. And in fact, I think part of the reason why I'm on this journey is because I made a bunch of secretly duplicate work ahead of time. And I think, honestly, she just didn't want me hanging around the city. Like, I don't think she necessarily needs me on the journey with her.
She didn't trust
but like, maybe she doesn't want somebody to, get the secret out of me or whatever. So I think that's part of the reason why she compelled me to come with, because I'm the one who knows that there's not one of, each brooch or, whatever.
Yeah.
There's 4 of them.
Yeah.
And I think I came to respect her more after finding this out. Because like this gives us the best chances, right? It's the best chance for peace that we reach our destination versus the queen getting murdered en route.
True. Is there anyone you knew who was in the other? I mean, you made jewelry for them, so who sticks out in your mind?
I think, I think I knew one of the other artists, because I think that the groups were comprised to look very similar to our group, so that they would be like believable decoys, right?
Right.
And I think I had a girlfriend who was maybe like a sculptor who got sent in a direction that was maybe one of the less safe directions, heading towards, imminent danger, as opposed to like, maybe it's okay.
Yeah.
And I think I realized that like what was happening with the plan as I'm making these duplicates, right? Because like that's weird. The queen doesn't ask to make 4 of one thing, right? The queen demands one of a kind pieces,
right?
But like I didn't ask her outright, because you don't do that. That's the queen. But yeah, I think when she invited me, I got back to, let's say, like the artist residence. My friend was like, the queen asked me on a journey. And I was like, she also asked me on a journey. And I think that's when I put it together, right? Like 4 pins for each person or whatever. Oh shit. So like, I think for like a couple of days, maybe I didn't even know if I was going on the one with the actual queen.
Right.
Awesome.
Are there transcents in Chad's asking, are there decoy queens as well?
Yeah.
Yes,
I was curious about
there
that
is
too.
100% decoy queens.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, we have the real one, right? We're sure of that. There's no chance that we have that we're actually
definitely our queen.
definitely.
What kind of machinery and alchemical recipes are in that book?
Yeah, right, exactly.
We got a homunculus queen on our hands.
She makes several simulacrums.
Yeah. That's such a good answer. Nice, Jen. Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, none of us, I wouldn't know, right? Like, I would have no reason to know.
It sounds like this was Very top secret, right?
Yeah. I think that's what the queen, like all of us have been trying to figure out like where common grounds are to some degree. And I think that's the common ground of the queen is secrets. Like she just knows things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Your card, Darcy.
Okay. Sorry. I was still in it.
No, it's fine.
It's really good.
That's really good.
The queen gave you a compliment once. What was it and why have her words stayed with you? What an interesting question. So she had already pulled all of these power plays over me and my family, knowing who I was. So I'm imagining it's after that, right? And so I feel like kind of like I would have been walking on kind of eggshells around her for a while. And maybe this is the compliment that like turned me around and like really got me hooked on her, and why I fell in love with her. So what would they have been?
Was it related to your sort of bardic performances or like your depictions of her and the court and whatnot?
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's kind of just like everything in this world we've built is very layered, and has multiple meanings. I'm wondering if like I was singing or I was playing a tune, and like it's got the surface level meaning and it's got the sort of subsurface level meaning, but there's like a series of chord progressions and like ways that my voice was sort of dissonant with the chords that means a very specific thing and is a reference to some particular piece of literature and actually turns this very light and airy song into sort of a requiem, right? It's calling on this sort of sad, deeper history. And I'd assumed like that it was a deep cut, right? And she like absolutely realized what I was doing. And she gives me some sort of cryptic compliment that means she absolutely understood the sort of tertiary layered meaning that I had in the song, and so she sort of saw my skill and like respected it, and maybe it was a little edgy, right? Like because I would presumably weave my edginess into like the deep layers.
I mean,
the fact that she respected it.
I'm almost wondering. Oh, go ahead, Sean.
I'm wondering if you like told a story of like the queen coming to power.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's like normally like this very happy, the queen's coming to power, but part of that story is how your family was taken out. And normally like no one even knows that that's part of it, but like you made some inference the sorrow of that part rather than just the pure joy and elation of like the queen's victory, and she caught on to it. I don't know if that's
what I was wondering too, if maybe this was the first time that you became aware that she knew what was up with you.
Awesome. That she absolutely knew specifically, like, I am of that lineage, right? I wonder if like the compliment she gave me, right, would be like something like, you have your uncle's eyes or something, right?
Oh,
and,
snap.
Right? So it's this, it's this compliment that has this just endless seed of what
that'll stick with you.
Right.
Yep. I think that's pretty self-evident why that would stay with me. But yeah, the fact that she didn't, whereas maybe in other communications, she was sort of power playing me around. Like that one it was a little more heartfelt, and it was a little more like she wasn't like, she knew that I was singing about the sadness of the downfall of my family. And the fact that she wasn't horrible about it was like a big deal and endeared her to me. Right.
Right. So. I can definitely see why you love her.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that a lot. Yeah, Ash, do you want to pick one? I feel like I got a lot out of that card. So
all right.
Nice.
What do you do for the queen that anyone else can do, and why does she make you do it?
Make you. I love it.
Yeah.
This is one of those petty cards.
Right. This is really what, because a lot of the things that I do for her are things that like maybe one other person could do, but it's helpful to have one person who can do all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah,
can I offer a suggestion?
Please,
sure. Make tea for her, right?
Oh, right.
Anybody can make her tea.
Anyone could do that.
But she wants you to do it. Up to you.
Yes. In fact, it's even more strange than that. It's not even make the tea, it's deliver the tea. And I am fairly sure that there is some subtle folded in meaning about this, and that this is a test. And I'm not getting it right somehow. Or maybe I am, like maybe I am doing it right, but there's been no indication.
No feedback at all.
All I know is that every once in a while at this seemingly random intervals, I'll just receive an urgent summons to the kitchens. And when I get there, the answer is, here is the tray. And up I go, and we sit in silence, and she drinks her tea, and I sit at her knee. And when she finishes it, she hands the tray back to me, and I leave. And I'm often doing other things that are important, and I don't understand, but I do it because it's a chance for me to sit with her. And she lets me sit closer to her when she drinks her tea than she does at other times, because it's just the two of us.
I like that.
Oh my goodness.
Is this happening a lot? Is this happening every day?
It's been increasing, actually. It's been happening more, and there was a real a sharp increase just before we left on this journey. It was originally a very unusual occurrence, and so it caught me completely off guard every time. And then it started becoming a little more. Oh, sorry. Looks like my connection is a little weird. Am I back?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're
okay.
You did not appear to cut out for us.
Oh, good. Okay, I got a little. Your internet connection is unstable. Notice. Okay.
Yeah, Zoom does that. It's okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it was first. It was just very infrequent, and then it started becoming a little bit more, and then in the last 3 or 4 days before we left, it was multiple times a day.
Not like you have like other things to do.
Right. Is she having
it definitely interfered with my transcription.
Nice. Maybe she was trying to give you an excuse. I feel
it feels like a test, and I don't know if I'm passing or failing.
Do any of us are any of us, because you're an apprentice still, presumably we are all like, we're all like, we've all passed our apprenticeships.
Yeah.
Do we know what's going on? Is this like a thing she does to mess with people?
I brought it up with who did I bring it up with? I think I brought it up with your character, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of like casually said, like, wow, boy, seems like she could have someone more interesting take her tea.
Yeah.
And I wondered if you have any ideas about what your response was to that.
I feel very much like the queen's like secrets are hers to disclose. Like it's not my place to
and yours to keep.
What?
And yours to keep.
And mine to keep. Exactly, right? Like so okay, so on one hand there's like this loyalty, and then the other hand there's like humanity and compassion, which I do believe I possess. Sure. And so I think that I said something like the queen's secrets are not mine to tell, which is or rather like the queen's secrets are mine to keep, not to tell.
Nice.
Excellent. At least was a signifier to you that yes, there is something. I just can't tell you what it is, right? Like, yeah, you're on the right track by thinking that something's going on. I just can't reveal it for you. I just can't reveal it to you. Which is maybe more than I should have said. Maybe I just should have adjusted my brooch or something. But and
that is absolutely driving my character wild with speculation and worry and anxiety. Yeah.
I feel like when that question gets asked, like, why isn't she picking someone more interesting than me? Like the camera shoots like my character hiding around a corner being like hurt because I think you're so interesting and I'm so secretly in love with you and I want to admit it to myself. And then we go back. But
nice. I love it.
And then also like they're hanging out with each other and not with me.
Yeah, exactly. I love the idea that we're having a very like comfortable conversation, you know, if and that there's
yeah.
Oh, it's me.
All right, yeah. Over to you.
Yeah. You arranged for the queen to be ambushed on this journey. What did they offer you?
Oh wow.
What?
You are the keeper of secrets.
Yeah. I feel like that plays a little much into... I'm not sure I want to answer this question because I feel like my answer would be obvious. And I feel like if Nadja, I stacked the deck. That's what it is.
No way.
I feel like the last time I played this with you, Sean, you handed that card to Nathan.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna do it again. Jen, what? I would love to hear your answer to this question.
Oh my god. I arranged for the queen to be ambushed on this journey. What did they offer me? All right, so yes, I maybe arranged for a small ambushing, but they weren't supposed to hurt her. They were supposed to scare her, and perhaps steal something, a brooch or something. And in exchange, I was to get access to a gem from this other country that I can't get my hands on in our country that I've always wanted to work with. And it was literally an offer I couldn't refuse. And I twisted my stomach into knots over this because, I mean, special gem, right? Sorry, Nathan and Chad.
Nathan, yes. Yeah. I hate to broach the subject. You gotta pin it on someone.
But man hammer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that I sort of like I tried to sort of negotiate them down, right? I think that they originally were either going to try to kill or kidnap her, and I was like, I don't think I'm cool with that. So like I maybe suggested that, oh, well, if you take this brooch and you offer it to this other politician, like that would basically be the queen's stamp, right? Or, you know, whatever. And you could use that as like a political maneuvering chip or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yes, no, I absolutely did that thing.
And out of this, you got a rare gemstone that you could not get otherwise.
Yep.
Was it worth it?
I mean, right now, yes. I don't think it's happened yet.
Okay.
Or maybe it has. I don't know. What do you guys
that's
think?
Fair. Yeah. I mean, it could be looming. Yeah.
I was gonna say it could go either way, right? Like maybe it did happen, and then I have this gem, but I can't work with it, right? Because it's not from here. It's like famous or whatever. And so like if the queen sees me working with this like weird purple gem, like it's curtains for me. Or it just hasn't happened yet. I like them both.
Yeah. Go for it, Ash.
I have a question for you, Jen. Is it possibly that there have been some other ambushes that Sean's character has been able to subvert or that didn't succeed. And so there might be some question as to whether your ambush has happened.
Oh, I love it. I love that so much.
Oh my goodness.
Because they can't just walk up and hand you the stone after the
right.
ambush, right?
Yeah. And it's sort of like smoke and mirrors, right? Like we have these multiple different expeditions. And yeah, no, I love that. I love that. I don't actually know if they've showed up yet or not.
I love that I love the idea that the first time you get attacked, you're like, okay, this is it.
Yes.
And then like it doesn't go right. And then you're like, did I succeed? Was that it? What happened? And then the second time we're attacked, like, what's going on? Why are these other people attacking us? Like
wow.
Which one was it? Is it? Yeah. Wow. And all the while, I feel very important. I feel very much like
there's a lot of ambushes.
There's a lot. I'm glad I brought all these bells and whistles.
I mean, the queen anticipated it because she sent out 3 other expeditions, right? Like she knew she had a target painted on her.
Yeah.
Yikes.
She just didn't know that some of us were doing the painting.
It's for a good cause, though.
Was it? Really?
All right.
I think in my mind, I have decided that I'm going to use that stone in the crown that I make for her.
There you go. Justified.
But we'll see if that actually happens.
I love it.
All right. Darcy, you were up.
Yes. What part of this journey will be the most difficult? How do you pull the rest of the retinue through it? I think there's a part of the journey that maybe we're really like far north on the planet, and so like, and where we're going is like kind of almost over the pole, and so we get into a period of time where there's like where it's all daylight or all night, you know, and so I think there's this like physical space we go through where we're traveling, and it's like always dark and it's just depressing. You know, there's some sort of space, you know, that may not be exactly it, but there's some space we have to travel through that's just like very trying to be a human through, right?
I super dig that. I love the idea of us passing through the pole as well, because somehow the various gems and the stars, there's a lot that resonates for me with that. So
cool. Yeah. All right, yeah, we have to pass through the pole, and it's just particularly wearying, and I assume like no one really lives here, so it's even more isolating. Like we'd almost rather have the ambushes. It's just a slog. It's just and we're such a small retinue, right? Like we're really going to be at each other's you know, annoyances, I guess. So feel free to chime in with any questions about that. I'm curious about how I might be pulling the rest of the retinue through it.
The obvious thing to me is if you are the entertainer and the performer and the one that like is in charge of lightening the spirits, like if it's just this dreary trek, if you're the one that's like giving us hope and giving us a distraction from the sort of the work, maybe that's too simple though. Maybe that's too sort of on the nose.
Yeah, I think like knowing that we would have gone through here, I probably would have spent a lot of time on this journey, like getting to know and sort of observing a lot of you, right? Like I've made this silly song about all the stuff that fell out of your bag, Sean. And of course I've been watching Ash's character very closely. And of course I've been working very intimately with, you know, Jen's character has been had made all these brooches with us. So I've gotten some time with each of you. And so I think like I've done what I can to learn the stories that resonate with you. And I think part of what happens of how I'm able to pull us through is that, there's some stories and there's songs that cheer the spirit, but also like some good old fashioned wallowing. You can't beat that. Sometimes you got to wallow. You got to wallow through it a bit. And like, I've paced out some of the entertaining I try to do and some of the sort of social engineering to like, let that wallowing live and let it sort of like get processed and externalized, and then sort of clearing the air for more cheery things. And so I think what I'm doing is like maybe bringing up stories that might resonate with each of you of your cultures or your guilds or people who are important to you, and like telling sad stories of those people and sort of finding common ground in that. That's sort of an idea I have, but I would love to know your questions. Also flirting.
Hashtag flirt squad.
But not too much.
Right, not with the wrong
balance. Andy actually has a really great question. What stories do you know that have lore to help everyone through this landscape?
I would love any input that you folks have. I think that's a really good question.
I have this idea about bards sharing with each other when journeying bards come through, that they teach you like songs that are maps or guideposts and things. And so you have some songs that you can sing to us that kind of give us an idea of what's coming ahead, and then the song itself kind of guides us through the terrain.
Yeah, I love that, Ash.
So good.
Especially if it's things that we've never seen before. So when we first hear the song, it's like the song, some like epic ballad of somebody and their journey, and we hear it and it doesn't mean anything, right? Like it's a pretty song. And then when we hear it again and it's like, oh, that's the giant tower. Those are the caves. This is the thing.
Yes, because it's really metaphorical. And so then we're kind of primed, but we don't know literally what we're going to see.
Yeah.
So when we come up over the top, it's like, that's the crown of glory, because it's like maybe the sun rises between two peaks or something.
Yeah.
I feel like there's got to be some song that like relates to a particular like stone or like some gigantic beautiful like gem that's, you know, lodged way up at the pole, and like when the, you know, the sort of moon rises through it, this like incredible display gets shown, and like something about the pattern of the light. Like I feel like I'm trying to think of like what different bits of lore, right? And so I'm wondering for Jen's character, like some really cool, beautiful mineralogy that has a cool story in our, you know.
I love the notion that the light casts through it and casts these sort of colored shadows on the ground, and people have like we see the face in the moon, people have like made those out to be these fictive characters, right? Like, and so like we see them as the moon passes through, we see this animation of these you know, people, but they're just sort of the shapes and whatnot, but like we get to witness them. It sounds like, even though it's a horribly difficult journey, it's also like this rare opportunity to see this beautiful.
Oh, you guys have to like drag me away from that thing. Like no, just like 5 more minutes. I just gotta keep sketching just a little bit.
Oh
yeah.
I'm imagining like atmospheric effects, like maybe a borealis or something, and you know, all of these incredible things that you're telling us about to help us get through. You sing us these songs about, you know, this is going to be hard, but it will also be beautiful.
Sort of punctuated by like extreme beauty, but just long stretches of desolation. I feel like my character does attempt to get like the closest to you that they've tried to, Ash.
For sure.
Like, do you have an idea about like what that moment might look like, right? Like,
yeah, for sure. Like maybe there's some part of the song that you chose because it has to do with you know, something that you knew would resonate with me, but not in my apprentice position. I'm imagining like maybe you found out something that I enjoy privately. You found out that I have a little bit of herb lore. Not enough to understand the poultice recipes, but enough to, you know, I'm sort of like, oh, flowers are pretty. And so you're singing like maybe a verse about the flowers, and you're kind of leaning in because I'm getting really into it, and like I'm leaning in closer. And my character is completely oblivious to the little signals that you're sending, because I'm not trained as a bard. I don't have enough so here's an offer. Maybe you're weaving in a few things that you think this far along in their apprenticeship, they'll totally know what I'm doing, because I can put in some little like bard winks.
Yeah.
I actually haven't gotten that far, so I'm just smiling and nodding, and the messages aren't coming through.
I am crestfallen, and I am even more cold after that day than I had been before. I love that.
Oh. Goodness.
So I gave it my shot, and it was not received.
Ash pulling out the wrenches.
Right.
Thank you.
Oh yeah. I feel like you've got like the big wrench, and then you got like a little wrench.
It's like, all right, let's.
Oh, I love it. All right, Ash, is it your card?
And it was some of your most beautiful, subtle work, and it just flew right over my head. All right. Sorry for this slightly awkward 3-point turn I have to do, but that's what I've figured out to get the card on the table.
All good.
Right. The queen trusts you, but no one else in the royal court does. Why? I'm going to pass this card.
Sure.
Sean, I'd be interested to hear your answer to this card.
Yeah.
So good. So excited about Sean.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Wow. That's
Andy says they know you're a spy. Oh, I should take it back. No, because I don't even know I'm a spy. Actually, that would be really funny. Yeah. If everyone else knows what she's grooming me for. Anyway.
Yeah, right. You don't know. I mean, if you want to answer the question, Dash, if that gives you inspiration, please feel free.
It actually kind of does, because I think that would be an interesting, strange twist.
Yeah. Yes.
Where that's the final piece, is that's the part she hasn't told me, is that ultimately she is going to have me forging documents, and that the reason she's training me in this kind of functionary of the castle is so that I am not suspicious. But the royal court knows exactly what she does with people in this role.
Mm-hmm.
And so they are not trusting me. The guild masters and the people I'm training with are trusting me.
Because they don't know. They don't know that this is the deal.
Yes. I like that. I think that's definitely part of it, is that they're not high enough clearance. But the royal court is interior enough to her that they know.
What happened?
The current forger retired or whatever.
That's what I want to know. What happened to the last person? Yeah, right.
Yes, they retired to a distant land where they don't receive any post, and so we unfortunately cannot communicate with them. But they're very happy where they are, is what I was told when I was offered this position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I'm so diligent about the things that I'm studying, and yet so maybe naive a little bit in the ways of the court and the ways of the world. More the ways of the court. I think I was brought into the palace to take this position. And so I did not grow up among this culture. This is rarefied air that I have never breathed before. But
Darcy, your character knows all about this sort of stuff, like this kind of intrigue.
Yeah.
Do you know what Ash is being groomed for? Do you see what's happening to this person that you love as they're being turned into a spy?
Oh, I have to, right? Like I would be, but and like I wonder if, like, I mean, when I sang you that song, right, I assumed you would know what it meant and that you would reject me. So I think that I don't realize how naive you are. I think it's a front, and like, I think you're fine, but
you think I got the message, and my was nuh-uh.
Right, exactly. So I know what's happening to you, and I assume
turning
you're
those
in
screws
on it.
around.
I know.
I love it.
If we would just talk to each other.
Right. If you just communicate openly. But when there's so much on the line, that's so hard to do.
Yeah.
It's not as simple as just.
And I think Sean, the reason that your character said her secrets are hers to disclose and mine to keep is because you know where I'm headed as well.
Yeah. The whole T-survey thing is absolutely part of it.
You know exactly what's going on with that.
Yeah.
And there are a million tiny signals that she is sending me every time I bring her tea that I am not picking up. And that's the test.
I think you're picking up. I feel like you're picking up some of them, even if it's subconscious.
Some of them.
I feel like there's something going on that, like, something's going on, and you're watching.
But without knowing that you're being interviewed, how do you ace the interview?
Yeah, right.
Right.
You just got to be a natural, but clearly Ash is a natural. So.
Yeah. So that's what's up. And my character hasn't really, just assumes that, people are a little cold and a little standoffish because I'm new, and I didn't grow up in the palace, and so this will wear off. I'm still very optimistic that this is all going to change, and that I'll be so happy here. We're going to be so happy.
I loved it's been a while since I've seen it, so it might be one of those things I revisit and go, it's trash now, but I love the movie Spy Game, which was Robert Redford grooming a new spy. And and it like not going well, and I'm just having these feelings of like these images of like you when you realize what's happening, like not being happy about it.
Right, just the cards all falling down around me. Alex asks in the chat, is this why you're still an apprentice? Yes, it is. It is definitely why I am still an apprentice.
Dang.
Apprentice administrator / spy.
Right.
Unwitting.
I have a particular thought about that. I don't know if this is something that appeals to you at all, Ash, but I feel like your pin may be no pin at all. Like you may have to keep coming, and like there's never a pin, and there's never a pin until the day you realize that your pin is that the spy doesn't get a pin. Right? Like that is the
right. Absolutely.
You won't ever know if you have passed your test or not. Like you don't ever like get to find out because it's
and my role was not sent in the other directions, although my character doesn't know that.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah, because you could never say this is my spy.
Right.
Like,
what would you even say?
Part of the spy duty. Never have officiated them.
Yeah. Right. Then you have possible deniability. Yep. Yeah, they're just always in apprenticeships. So you just never know when you graduated.
God, I love that.
Andy says you never know that you're hired. You only know that you're fired.
Oh, no.
Yep. Because you get retired.
Because you get retired.
Yeah. Dang.
Yep.
Andy, killing it.
Gosh.
The unpinned. Yep. That's it exactly, Alex.
All right. The queen had you punished once. What about the memory of that will stay with you forever? Oh, I think, remember a while ago, Darcy, you asked if I ever used my power to my own ends. I think even if I haven't, the underpinnings. No. Stop.
Nathan.
You're murdering us right now. It's so dying. I think there was a time when I was a little bit more overtly warmongery and overtly not saying I want the war to go on forever, but like I want us to win, and I think I was sort of taking trying to take more of a role of general or military liaison, or like having sort of putting my fingers into that, because again, it felt like that's what I was born and raised and trained to do. And it's not. I'm there to keep her affairs and to hold on to them. And it's that the reason that I told you, just to keep adding new layers and new dimensions to this, Ash, the reason why I told you the queen's secrets are mine to keep, not to give, is because I thought like I was in the position to reveal one of her secrets once. I was like, aha, if you only knew that the queen has you surrounded. And then she looked to me like, I what now? Like I was not supposed to reveal that. And I felt so cocky and sure of myself, and like that I was on the right path. And and her punishment for me, I think her punishment for me is this current position. I think that I actually was one of these, I had some sort of like, I had some sort of high post, and now we see me sweating and dying and carrying all this stuff. And that she was like, if like her way of teaching me how to keep her secrets is like literally carrying the weight of them now. So the punishment, it stays with me forever because it is now my new post. It is now, this is what I do.
Weighing you down.
It is literally weighing me down. Yeah. Wow. And in a way, I've also been given access to all this additional information, but now it comes with this horrible price that I can't share any of it. It's a little bit, a little Cassandra's tears here, that I know all these things, but I cannot share them, because the one time I did, when I knew far less, when I knew very much less than I do now, I betrayed her, and I didn't think I was betraying her, but I did. And so now she has me, like so many people, I think, play the fool, and so now I look kind of like this bumbling oaf that carries her things and keeps her books. And
so you're almost, I mean, it's you're not a literal apprentice, but she has pulled kind of a similar thing on you and me. Both of our characters are in this kind of,
I feel like I feel like, whereas you're still feeling like your status is raising, I definitely felt like I was a very high status and I've been brought low.
Yeah.
She controls me through that.
Yeah. That is heavy.
I have a question to everybody else, which is a weird thing to say, but does anyone else remember me from my former status? Like, does anyone else know like my previous high post? Like, is that a thing we ever talk about, or is it just something that's like totally hidden and people only know me as like the Queen's receipt holder?
I don't think that I would have known. If you would have told me, like, that's totally cool, but I was sort of, I think, oblivious to.
But not, right? Cool. Awesome.
I'm wondering if I do, because like my family keeps such a close eye on the people who are important to the Queen's court.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, to the best of my ability and the people around me, like, we are watching carefully who is rising and falling. And so I guess that makes me more of a jerk than I thought I was about making this song about all the stuff you have on your bag.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know what that means, and I'm a jerk about it. So
thanks, Darcy.
Yep.
I'm sorry. That. No, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Ash, what do you think? Do you think your character knows?
Yeah, I was just thinking, I think I might have, well, I certainly knew of you. Because especially when it came to coming out and enforcing things outside of the palace, if things got particularly tense out on the edges of the city where I grew up and spent my formative years, you would occasionally come through as sort of the face of the enforcer. So I think I kind of knew you, but I suspect, correct me if I'm wrong, an offer would be, I don't think that you necessarily got your hands super dirty with it, but you would come out and kind of, lay down the new law or set boundaries or whatever, and kind of you had some of that, like, so I definitely I had seen you probably give some of those speeches or lay some of those smackdowns. But I think actually I'm a bit starstruck to be, having this access to you, really. Again, it feels like my star is just rising. Here I am,
right? I'm
out with the Queen. I'm with the royal jeweler. I'm with the royal bard. I'm with the war chest on legs. I'm just like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So I think whereas it sounds like maybe you might have a different reputation with some of the people.
I think within the court I do, but yeah.
I think I'm just like, wow, do I get to study that at some point? Like, is that going to be part of my apprenticeship? Excuse me.
Yeah. I love it. That's so good. Thank you. That's fantastic.
Right. How does the Queen remind you of her status while on the journey?
Goodness.
I mean, I think that it comes in the form of sort of requests / demands. Like the Queen doesn't get her own things. The Queen doesn't do her own laundry. And I think all of us, if this is okay with the other players, I think all of us have had to do things that would maybe have otherwise be labeled as sort of beneath our stations. Absolutely. Like, I don't do people's laundry. I have my laundry done by people, right?
Right.
But here, like, it's just the five of us. So, and so I think, but the exception is the queen, right? She doesn't ever have to get her hands dirty. So, and I don't think she's mean about it, but there's also like there's no doubt in her voice, like
firm.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine her saying things like, "And now we will make camp."
Mm-hmm.
And we're like,
camp to be made.
Camp is duly made.
Right. Like, I guess we will.
Regardless of how suitable the location is.
Yeah.
Right. That's a great point.
One of the earliest jokes about a queen that I ever learned was, why does a queen carry a scepter? Because everyone else works, scepter.
Very good.
Wow. Good one.
So it's felt like what you were describing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right. She
Perfect.
just has her scepter. She's like, camp.
Well, I'm carrying the scepter. Clearly everybody else has to do everything.
I have a job. This is my job.
This is my job right here. You know this crown? This crown is 10 pounds. Come on now. I got a strong neck.
10-pound crown.
Does any of us hunt? Do one of us have to like hunt game? Like we're on this long journey together.
Yeah, I mean.
I think this is one of the places where I may have let us down a little bit. I think maybe I think one of my diagrams was for a very efficient game trap.
Yeah.
Sweet. And it's not functioning perfectly. It's working okay. It's kind of doing its job, but I have had to go back and fix it really regularly, and that obviously scares game away from it.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if this is where we want to go, but like the thought of a not very well functioning game trap just screams like heinous injuries to the person who's trying to set it up, right?
Yeah.
Like it is a risk.
I like that a lot.
Have any of us been harmed by this thing? I mean, surely not the queen.
I think that it hurt like my wrist one time, and I have not touched it since because my hands are my fucking livelihood. And what the hell, man? I was
absolutely miserable.
Super displeased about it.
I almost maimed the court jeweler.
Yeah. Oh goodness. Right. I can imagine like the thing snapping shut and it just like barely clipping your wrist. And like had you been a fraction of a few inches closer, it would have been a grievous
I could have had like a broken wrist. Yeah.
Right.
And we're pretty far from any healers, any hospital.
Right, and we don't know if our poultice recipe is any good. Sure, it's
fine. Sure, it's fine.
Everything's gonna be fine.
Love it.
All right, I think Darcy, you're up.
All right, we're getting closer to that end. You have a personal connection to the land you are currently traveling through. What makes you want to stay, and why don't you? Beautiful.
Oh wow.
Personal connection. Really interesting. Goodness.
Is this your family? Your family lands?
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is like the ancient seat of my family's lands, right? Like this is like a deep as we're traveling, maybe this is like a kind of a mostly wasted land. Like it's just been devastated by some sort of natural or unnatural disasters. It's starting to regrow, right? Sort of the Chernobyl, right?
Yeah.
Like something horrible has happened here, but nature is starting to regrow, and there are these little villages, and this is where it all used to be, right? And so I think the temptation is that like a lot of my history is here, right? A lot of my stories that I wouldn't have heard because we've all been down in the empire of this queen, like. I think what really makes me want to stay is not just the people, but like those stories that I've never had the privilege to learn because I've been so acclimating to this culture of the queens. So that's what really makes me want to stay is all these stories that are in my bones, but I will never have the opportunity to learn if I don't stay, right? Like it is one or the other.
Right. You have to like immerse yourself in the,
they have a different dialect. They have different scripts. They don't know what the heck we're talking about when we're brooch jangling. And why don't I? So I'm imagining this is pretty late in the journey, and like I've seen the queen pull some things, And so while I love her, I may also have seen in sharp relief her flaws, or ways that she's let me down. And of course, I've been turned down by my other love, who was not picking up what I was putting down in that love song. Yeah. So why do I continue to go on? I think the shame of it might be that it's just momentum. It's that I've put so much of my identity into loving this queen and being on this journey that, like, I would have to face all the things that I've done, the sacrifices I've made and the compromises.
Yeah.
If I stayed. And so I think it's just I'm unwilling to look at the sunk cost of this
yeah, it's
journey,
just too much
and
to
it
face
is just
all
too
of that.
emotionally much. I just have to keep going. I think that's what it is.
Wow.
I mean, there's no way that we don't see this, right? There's no way that we're not looking at this and being like, seeing the perhaps familiar resemblance between you and the people here, noticing the way in which their songs, when we encounter them, just resonate with you in this way.
I'm humming along like a counter tune.
Do you like confide any of this to any of us? Like, do any of us know, or are we just kind of watching you? Because you're very like verbose, like it's your professionally you're outgoing, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're outgoing with your true feelings.
Right. That's a shield as much as it is a mirror. I would put that in your hands, right? Is there anyone who opens themselves up to be confided in, or I can imagine there's some dark, lonely nights of the soul going on here.
Yeah.
I would definitely open up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the like scene, right? Are we over a campfire? Are we just about to leave or something?
Yeah, and I think this thing has been building for me about you. This whole journey is that like we're both artists, and coming to this place and seeing you work in like the medium you were meant to work in, and like witnessing that was just like super powerful for me. And like I felt like we just sort of like resonated together in that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that so
I
much.
feel like there could be some mirroring of when we were passing through the pole, and Jen, you were just like enamored by the gem work and the natural formations, and that Darcy's character had the songs about them to give meaning to them and all these things. It's like those two, like that you have this sort of like you're switching roles here. It's like one of you is waxing nostalgic while the other one is like providing this kind of relief, and then vice versa.
And
I love that symmetry there.
Yeah. Oh, excellent.
In a mirror to Darcy's character behind the wall listening to the Queen and me, my character is on the other side of the campfire, in sort of some shadows, and just listening and longing to participate in this conversation, but feeling like I hurt the jeweler's hand, and I seem to have insulted the bard, and I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't know what I did, and they don't want me there. I'm not cool. I need to just stay over here.
God.
So just sitting very quietly, kind of bundled up in a blanket, sitting far enough away from the fire to be in the shadows where it's cold, like a sort of self-penance.
Yeah, I feel like Jen's character, I feel like maybe you helped me like turn this longing and this restlessness and this like wanting, turn it into a piece of art or something, right? You let me like you work me through like channeling it into something so that I can lead with it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
With a song or something. I think you helped me through that.
Awesome. I love it.
That's beautiful.
Yay. That's very good. Thank you.
Right, Ash.
Just in reverie there.
Good.
Okay. Oh boy.
Is this it?
That's it.
The Queen is under attack. Do you defend her?
So Ashley, you'll answer, and then we'll just go through in the same regular turn. Okay. We'll all answer.
Yes, I do.
What do you think it looks? What do you think it?
It's not great. My character does not have the skills to be doing this. But when the attack comes, at first I'm flustered and having just this panic, and then I start noticing things about the ways that they're coming in and the weapons that they're using, and I suddenly start having these flashes back to the tea with the queen. And these little things suddenly start making sense. Everything, like, it's just this like tumblers in a lock. Suddenly I go, oh, and I suddenly realize she's been passing me intel I didn't understand. I now do. I can see what's happening, and I know what she wants me to do. I understand why I've been brought.
Oh man, I love it.
And so it becomes very clear to me that that this is my test. And so so
that's beautiful.
I'm gonna pause there for a second and figure out the rest of it, but that's what I know so far.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Do I defend the queen? I do defend the queen. I think my defense looks like the least heroic thing you can imagine. I keep on having it's maybe because I've been rewatching Xena, but I keep on just having this like images of Joxer when I think of my characters sort of bumbling at this point. And I think that I fire off one of these sort of signals to bring aid, and when the aid doesn't come, I realize that I carry a lot of the queen's like secrets and weight and dangerous things, and I flee. I flee so that they cannot. I flee in hopes that they cannot capture her and all of the leverage that can be used against her, and in hopes that they'll chase after me instead, because I think in sort of a way as like I hold her banner, in that like I have these important these important signs of her office, and I think I like, to the extent of like waving one of them and say, this is what you're really after, and I see myself like not well, but definitely clomping through, running through this strange unknown terrain, and trying to lure them away. Yeah.
And you said you were not heroic.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's certainly not elegant.
I think I do defend the queen. I'm not particularly versed in fighting, so I think the way that I defend her is to just try to get in between her and the danger, like with my body. It's not clear to me how that goes for me yet. I probably not great, although I don't know that I die. But yeah, I probably get grievously injured.
I have an important question for you, Jen, in this regard. Do you brandish any sort of weapon or tool to defend yourself?
I probably have like a small dagger or something. That I made it very pretty, right? And I assumed I'd never have to use it.
Right. Jeweled dagger, yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Ken is saying in chat, your hands. This is what I'm wondering about. Is like when it's like, oh, the queen's life, of course I'll protect her, but then it's like, your hands? Will you protect her to the extent of?
Probably not. Like I suspect that I get injured, but I think that if I'm presented with the decision to like have a hand chopped off or have the queen's blood spilled, I'd probably let her blood spill in that instance. Just out of sheer self-preservation.
You're human. Yeah, makes sense. What about you, Darcy?
So I think I've been incubating on the stories of my people and their sort of decimated culture that's still sort of regrowing, and feelings of connection, but also feelings of rejection amidst the party, and especially from the queen. And so I wonder if I hadn't been letting that bit of knowledge of like the culture that my family could have been, right? Like my people's culture that's sort of unrealized because of the queen and her lineage. I wonder if that's festered. I've sort of tried to process it and kept moving on. I didn't stay behind, but I wonder if I don't defend her, I could even imagine a world in which why, of course, my family members always carry that poison with them. And is it poison applied by lips, right? Do I get that final kiss and like just take us out together in this moment of chaos? And after everybody else has run off, I get my moment alone with the queen.
I think this sounds beautiful.
This is amazing.
Yeah. I think,
just a quick application.
Right.
And a passionate kiss. And it'll all be over for the both of us.
Right. She won't suffer.
Mm-hmm. And neither will anybody else.
Oh, dang.
Oh. Now you definitely are the heir to the rival line. And you have to have been.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Wonderful. Ash, you were saying that you had other thoughts, but you weren't sure. Was there anything that you wanted to add before we go out?
I was thinking of weaving some of my character's actions in with the rest of yours, but I think the primary thing that I end up doing, there are a few tactical things that we'll just hand wave and say, I figured out, we're going to happen.
Oh,
yeah. In the moment where I see your character, Sean, turn and head out, I have a flash. I remember that during one of the teas, she had a chessboard sitting on the floor, and there was a knight that was leaving the board. And so I take that to mean she knew that you were going to separate yourself. That's fine. And so I take that as, okay, I don't need to worry about him. That's he's doing something. That's fine. Right. What obviously my character doesn't know is that she clearly knew ahead of time that you would make that decision.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that she told you to. And so my focus comes back. I see Jen's character in danger, and I try to prevent you from getting hurt by throwing one of the game cage at your attacker.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
And so you are still injured, but your attacker is killed by the game cage.
Oh, that's so good.
That's so good. Yeah, and then I think, I think I'm not one of the ones who leaves afterwards. I think Darcy and you and I are there by ourselves after the queen has sunk down to the ground. And I kneel before you.
I don't think, unless I understood it wrong, I don't think Darcy's character survived that kiss.
Oh, that's right. You didn't survive the kiss, did you?
I think that's what I said. Nope.
I mean, we can change any, like, yeah.
I start frantically going through my notes.
The poultice recipe.
The poultice, yeah.
And who?
I pull out the poultice recipe.
Yeah.
Oh,
we have brought enough agents to make one dose.
One dose, of course.
Yes.
Of course. I feel like unless you have a strong feeling about it, I feel like that's a great place to leave the.
Yeah,
it is a good just drop curtains.
Yeah, awesome.
Oh, that's so good. Excellent.
Wait, yay, wonderful. Talk about turning those heart wrenches.
Just had to get one last little.
Yeah,
it wasn't quite tight enough.
Yeah, right. Oh wow. And that is for the Queen. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us in chat.
Yes, thank you to the chat. Y'all were wonderful.
Yeah, this was so much fun, and you gave us so many good ideas. This was a fantastic game. Jen, where can folks find you, and what are the things that you're up to doing these days?
People can find me on Twitter at JenMartin80. I'm also on Facebook and G+, and Sean is linking my Ko-fi. I am working on, I'm finishing up My Little Demon for Kier McGrand's Resistor zine. And I am working on a space game inspired by the books, the Wayfarer series, which is like the long way to a small angry planet. Just sort of like gentle, contemplative friendship in space. Yeah, that's it.
Wonderful. How about you, Darcy?
I love that series with a deep passion. So please keep me updated on that. And also the Resistor magazine is full of amazing stuff. The Resistor zine. I'm so excited. So you can find me at Darcy L. Ross on most places. I work with Monty Cook Games, and there's been a whole bunch going on lately. But one thing I wanted to draw your attention to is that we have like a $5 coupon for anybody watching the stream, which is great. And that can get you a free adventure called the Violet Veil. Get you a bunch of stuff, but that is one particular one that has like a mysterious epic lady reigning over a strange wood with a strange retinue. And I thought that'd be a perfect sort of aperitif for the Queen you might be playing. So
I love it.
Fun. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you.
Cool. How about you, Ash? What's up with you?
For sure. I have my Patreon, and over, Thanksgiving weekend, I delivered my first game to my patrons, Weasels Are Illegal, where you play a group of weasels clustered together in a trench coat attempting to pretend to be humans because weasels are illegal. It's really fun, and the playtests have been wonderful. So if you would like to come and see that. And then I've just announced that coming up in December, I'm going to be dropping a game to my patrons on the solstice, which will be a tarot-based game about journeying into the underworld.
Cool.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
That all sounds super, super rad. I'm Sean Nittner. I use he, him pronouns, and you can find me pretty much everywhere as at Sean Nittner. I'll be back streaming next week with some Agon and a game of Coven, and then it looks that might be it for December, but we're definitely lining up some rad stuff for January, some other playtests of games, and we'll probably come back with another round for the Queen because I can't get enough of this game. It is so darn good. So, so thanks everybody for hanging out with us. It has been great seeing all of you. Thanks, Jen and Darcy and Ash, for coming on. Absolutely. I love this game.
Thank you so much for hosting us.
Yeah.
For sure.
Good night, all.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you, fellow players.
Yeah.